What's up?
Hello.
Howdy.
Greetings. Welcome.
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Más o menos. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Para tú.
Gracias.
Bueno. Hey, everybody. It is Thursday, December 28th, 2023. My name is Brian Engelman, and that is Blake Walley, and this is the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. Yes, you're allowed to say that. And I hope you have a great, blessed New Year. May this New Year be the best year you've ever had. Because I'll tell you what, there's been some stinkers in the past decade or two, haven't there? Blake, what's been the worst year?
For me personally, 2018 is without a doubt the worst year of my life. Not even close.
Oh, that's just like in stone. Figured out.
Yeah. 2017 was a little tough. 2018, yeah, just as total garbage. Awful. And then 2019 was interesting. 2020, for a lot of people, was the worst year ever. For me, I don't know. In some ways, I kind of like 2020, even though it just...
No, I kind of like 2020 as part of it as well.
But for most people, they would say 2020 was the worst year of their life.
Was 2018, you said that was your worst? Was that the Utah year?
Well, it's part of it. I did spend a lot of time between. I was mostly in Las Vegas to Utah, Arizona, Southwest California. I actually did a lot. I was around the whole Southwest region for a lot of 2018. I did some traveling. It was just a rough year financially, career-wise, personally. Everything was just shit.
To everything, there is a season. Turn. A time to prosper, a time to fail. I don't know.
Yeah. So how about you, Brian? What was your year? The worst year?
Shit. 2 years ago, burying my brother. It doesn't get worse than that. It's not like last year was great. I don't know.
It's all going downhill, and it's not going to get a whole lot better, probably.
No. I'm not taking the black pill. These are all trials and tribulations meant to toughen us up, meant to strengthen us so that we can dominate and succeed. Only the strong may enter. Only the strong will dominate.
Well, man, I kicked so much ass in the 2012 to 2015 or so. Mm-hmm. I had such enthusiasm. I had my finger on the pulse. There was nobody ready to just take down, conquer, take America back. We got Trump elected. And then I was left in the cold like I never mattered. And then things just kind of got worse and worse. And then I had to rebuild. I left the media pretty much for 2 or 3 years. I didn't really do a whole lot. I pretty much just, broken my spirit and didn't get anywhere. And then I had to rebuild it all. But then when 2020 came around, then it was like, okay, here we go again. It's time to get on the horse. Got a bunch of free time. I got to, I got this crazy lockdown, and it's time to speak up and change things around.
But, yeah, I think post 2016, starting in 2017, it was such a demonic battle against Hillary and those people. We were exhausted. You and I went to that Conscious Life Expo, and we did that angel reading. I just remember I was so out. My battery was blinking red. I was just empty. I didn't realize it until. But yeah, I took some time off, and then YouTube demonetizing the channel and Facebook erasing the New American Media company page for no apparent reason. But I'm feeling invigorated again. What up, Kenneth? What up, the other person, Timothy? Cheers to you. Cheers. But yeah, I'm feeling the call again. I think it's more important than ever that we focus on the next year to make sure that we can create the future that we want, because the opposite dystopian alternative is unacceptable. That's it. You're packing a bowl and you're going on a trip. Yes, pack a bowl and go on a trip. Pack and go on a trip. Okay.
That's what I want to do, Brian. Yes. How about a Wake and Bake Wednesday? Just an easy show.
Okay. We'll do that. We are thinking about doing quicker shows moving forward. So let's buzz through the pleasantries. I was looking here, Blake, through the video clips. I don't see our 2 minutes hate. I was wondering if you're going to make a 2 minutes hate video clip as a stinger. That would have been fun, but we'll see. Maybe next time. Israel will be in the news forever, it seems. Emmanuel Goldstein. Every shit life experience is a hero's journey. Timothy, I was just reading about that. Well, I mean, I'm working on a movie called The Moon Saloon, but yeah, Joseph Campbell in The Hero's Journey. That is at the This Too Shall Pass. Yes, that is at the core of every Star Wars. Pick your Harry Potter, any sort of your Christ story. It's ups and downs, and it's trials and tribulations, and it's ascending at the end, and good defeating evil. Yes, the hero's journey. So yes, welcome to our hero's journey here on the New American Media, because the old American media failed you. This is the Agree to Disagree show. As I said, follow Blake. He's on X at TV's Blake Walley and The Next Level News. Follow the Agree to Disagree show on Spotify, and follow the New American Media on Rumble and on X. All the places, please. Okay, let's jump into today's topics. Yes, Kenneth B., life is a garden. Dig it. Yes, life is a garden. Dig it, Kenneth B. Well, how do you brace for a Black Swan event? Well, there's never been a better time to get some organic seeds, to start growing some food in your windowsill, get a little greenhouse, get a plot outside where you can grow some food, indoor, outdoor, get some grow lamps, get some solar panels. I mean, you can go build a bunker in a Hawaiian mountain like Zuckerberg, since we all know what he did to fortify the 2020 election. Or you can just make a few steps with not too much investment, but water purification and grow some food. These are things you want to do to brace for the Black Swan event. Get out of debt if you can. Just kind of get prepared, get parsed down, get light, get fit, get mentally ready, get spiritually ready, and just refuse the black pill. Push the black pill away. That's how you can dig it. So, Blake, the Black Pill and the Black Swan, do you agree or disagree that there will be a negative Black Swan event coming in 2024? Although the negative Black Swan, that's kind of redundant, because all Black Swan events are negative, I suppose. But do you agree?
I'm not 100%, but when I was putting that caption together, I was kind of like, what if there was like a positive Black Swan? Like, what if, like, Jesus came back, or there's benevolent aliens and they wanted to share their technology and bring world peace and harmony to the earth.
Well, one of the quick definitions I found right here is, what is a Black Swan? A Black Swan is an unpredictable, that's not necessarily positive, but it's kind of neutral, unpredictable event that is beyond what is normally expected of a situation and has potentially severe consequences. Severe consequences are almost always negative, and severe gives you that disclaimer, that kind of modifying. It's a severe consequence. Black Swan events are characterized by their extreme rarity, their severe impact, and their widespread insistence that they were obvious in hindsight. So there's a lot of foreboding language, at least in that first term. But yeah, I mean, you take it a little bit, this or that, positive, minus, negative, I suppose. What is Timothy saying? Blake, your internet is like watching old people screw, slow and ugly. We were just talking about that. We're trying to figure out ways to level up the show, and Blake is a little hamstrung with his musk net. His musk net.
Yeah, it's becoming, an issue, and we love doing these shows with you guys, but we're also got to think about, the right formula going into 2024. Speaking of Black Swans, but not necessarily. But the internet, I'm stuck with. I don't know if I can actually improve this, and it does hurt the quality of the show. It does hold things back to an extent, and well, it couldn't. It's not all that it could be. And it's also hard to repurpose this stuff, because you can actually watch the show live. It's fine. But when you watch the replay, there's a lot of like audio sync issues, and it looks like I'm dubbed, and it's kind of a distracting, and it's a little bit of a problem. So Brian and I are trying to think of, new ways to deliver news that is more of a higher quality product. But
I mean, it really is a situation where it's like Blake would have to physically move to a different home with different internet. That's a massive undertaking. That's not necessarily easy, feasible, or something that he would even want to do. But he's had an upgrade to the Starlink, but Starlink is still, it's not great. It's better than pure trash. It's better, but it's less than super high speed. We're doing the best we can. It is what it is. But yeah. So Anyway, thank you for commenting on that, Timothy. Yes, you're mentioning the elephant in the room, if you will. But anyway, yeah. Back to you. Will there be a negative black swan event coming in 2024? Agree or disagree that there will be?
Yeah, I agree. And I don't want to get black pilled. I don't want to get negative. Yeah, very much different than where I was with my enthusiasm in 2012. It's like, we're going to do this. We're going to be the underdogs and we're going to take America back and it's going to be great. And we're going to get rid of the globalists and create this brand new, beautiful sci-fi future of, who knows, new age enlightenment and everything's going to be great. But unfortunately, I've realized that it's very people aren't as receptive. It's difficult to wake people up. People are just as divided as ever. It's still, or they're either don't get the information, don't see the information. They're unwilling to change their minds, and there's also been some, negative stuff I've seen as far as with the Earth. Or we could go into some of the there's going to be a catastrophe, whether there's going to be solar flare or AI, or even if you go into the woo stuff like Cliff High and you talk about Elohim coming back. I've seen that trending a couple times. I don't know if that's just me or not. It could be aliens coming down to visit us, except they won't be here to bring us peace and enlightenment and new technology. It'll be to rule over us once again.
But haven't they been ruling over us this entire time, which is why so much of this planet is so screwed up? They put a couple of their henchmen, they say, all right, well, we'll audition you to run Canada. We'll audition you to take over the United States in a coup. We'll audition you to run the World Economic Forum. We'll audition you, but we need to kind of know you're on the same team. So there's a set of requirements, and you're going to have to do something so unforgivable and so blackmailable that we will know you're serious, that you're on our team. And if you ever cross us, this information will be released, and we'll also take care of you and dispatch all the ones that you love. It's very heavy-handed. It's very threatening. It's very blackmailing. And the people who assume the power, they're either corrupt humans, demonic humans who have really sold their soul for some temporary physical gains on this realm, or, they're machines or aliens wearing skin suits pretending to be human. This is kind of the story it's always been. I mean, you can laugh at David Icke and his lizard people, or you can laugh at the Bible, but I mean, it's all beings from the heavens descending from the stars in chariots of fire. It's like, it's in every continent. It's in every major religious playbook that you read their holy writings. It's the same damn story. The Elohim, they go by a million different names. The Anunnaki, of course, all the stuff in Ancient Aliens. Of course, Blake, you do a show with Mike Barra. He's been on Ancient Aliens several times, and at the Conscious Life Expos as well. I mean, it's a fascinating subject. Oh, I do want to say rest in peace to Ian Punnett, former host of Coast to Coast AM. He was a guest on the Agree to Disagree show a couple of years ago. He did have a quick illness and a quick passing a couple of days ago. So rest in peace to Ian, one of the people that explored the spiritual realm more than the alien realm, like some of the hosts of Coast to Coast do. But yeah, Blake, I mean, this is maybe, it's a new story, but it's in fact the oldest story on Earth.
Yeah, there's not much history. History's weird. There's 4.5 billion-year-old planets, and of course there were giant eras of dinosaurs and what have you. But in the last, I don't know, couple 100,000 years, there could have been some serious interventions, and then things get kind of reset every 12,000 years if you believe in these catastrophe cycles. So, and we've seen all these ancient structures all over the planet. So we do know that there's been advanced civilizations here in the past. And now it's just whether so I don't know. It starts to feel like we're not natural to this planet. We were either brought here or created here. I don't know exactly all of it, but there's never been like some kind of plateau where we've, human civilization has gotten to an extent and we've become really advanced and had all these technologies and we've had, generations of prosperity and, things leveling off. Like we're advancing extraordinarily quickly, but mostly in the technological sense and not in a spiritual sense. And our wisdom hasn't gained a whole lot. And you just look back at how far civilization has moved in the last couple hundred years, and you look at the past, and we don't really have a whole lot there. You go past a few thousand years, and there's it's ancient civilizations without the technology, and there might have been civilizations from beyond that, and then every 12,000 years it seems like there's a catastrophe and there's an ice age or something, and then things get wiped out and we have to start all over again. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Some people think that's coming in the next 10 or 20 years. There's going to be another polar flip, or there's going to be a solar flare that knocks out everything as our magnetic field is weakening. And then there's going to be a flip. And then a lot of people will be wiped out, but there will always be survivors, and then they're going to rebuild. Or sometimes a lot of these people, they get, like aliens or what have you, that come down and help the survivors rebuild civilization, and then they just go off and disappear again. I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if some of the most powerful people on this planet are actually descendants of the survivors of the past. They know how to, survive and thrive, and they know all the magic and all the ancient knowledge that they keep, and they benefit themselves, and good for them. But we're a strange planet way out here on the edge of the galaxy here, and I don't know what happens next, but I'd like to see us continue to go into that kind of Star Wars, Star Trek future. I just don't know if that's actually on the table or not. But we're just going to continue to cover it either way. So bring it on, I guess. So black swans, there could be all kinds of stuff, but I'm not expecting us to humanity to all of a sudden work together, get rid of the World Economic Forum, get rid of all of the the bad globalists, and work together and thrive. I don't know if that's going to be possible or not, but
well, there's Lemuria, there's Mu, there's Atlantis, there's all the there's the ant people and the southwestern tribes. They're like these are just stories that
giants, serpent mounds,
all in all. What did kind of say? Do aliens eat soul food? That was nice. Yes. Taking your soul. Jocelyn says Cliff High is talking about the Elohim returning because their human trafficking has been cut off. I mean, it doesn't get more demonic, Blake, and that really is what you and I emerged from in 2016, going up against Hillary and those demons, and Huma and the laptop and Anthony Weiner and all the stuff that we're not even allowed to talk about because it hits so close to home. But yeah, all the cone heads with sausage fingers. Yes, those. Jocelyn, those. Okay, Blake. So the Black Swan event, I mean, there is a rumbling about this through what Catherine is saying. I found one. I mean, you didn't even know that Cernovich, whatever Catherine Herridge and Mike Cernovich are talking about there, you don't have to agree with them all the time, but they're sharp characters. They have massive amounts of intel, rumblings and chatter. They pick up on all the chatter. And they both seem convinced that something's on the horizon. So walk us through what Catherine had to say about this. It kind of made some waves over the past couple days.
Yeah, it sure did. So CBS News reporter makes a dark prediction of a Black Swan event in 2024, a major national security event that would negatively impact America. As on a roundtable discussion, asked by host Margaret Brennan about what to expect. Yeah, it's interesting. Get the people together and talk on Face the Nation and make their predictions for at the end of the year, which we typically do at this time. But then she kind of took it for an ugly turn, saying, well, let's just let her roll this out. It's a 35-second clip. Here we go.
Well, mine's a little dark. I just feel a lot of concern that 2024 may be the year of a Black Swan event. This is a national security event with high impact that's very hard to predict. There are a number of concerns that I have that factor into that. Not only this sort of enduring heightened threat level that we're facing, the wars in Israel, also Ukraine, And we're so divided in this country in ways that we haven't seen before. And I think that just creates fertile ground for our adversaries like North Korea, China, and Iran. And that's what concerns me most.
Okay, well, thank you, Debbie Downer. There we go. But, I've been Debbie Downer today too. So I get it. Feel the frustration. A lot of people are predicting civil war. And in fact, that was one of our major show topics. I don't know if it was last week or the week before. And we're coming out with a movie this summer. And yes, it's never been so divided, like she says. So we could absolutely see this unfold. And we're worried about the election and whether there's going to be any integrity, and we can trust the process and have a peaceful transfer of power if we need that. And if the votes are legitimate, and who's counting it, and can it be audited, and is it final, or are the states going to break off from the Fed? There are many things that could happen. We could be looking at war. Another, not just civil war, but war with the Middle East again. And that might not happen with Russia and Ukraine, but if people get piled into whatever's going on between Israel and all of the rest of the Middle East, or Iran, or who knows, that could be something that would end civilization quickly, or change things dramatically, or pull people into a war. We don't want to see any of those things happen, but unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like we're going to have a resolution here in America, not with the liberals and the conservatives as divided as they are now. So, and with the economy, that you never know with that thing, we could have the currency collapse, death of the dollar, BRICS rising. We have no. So there's a lot of, unfortunately, not a lot of really super positive things, but we're certainly going to cover it. It's too historical and amazing just to not look, or to turn away. So we jumped in. We'll be knee deep, at least, watching it unfold in horror, the slow motion train crash. But yeah, it's the greatest reality show in the galaxy, Brian, and I'm here for it.
All right, well, good, Blake. I see. I feel like you're talking yourself into covering the news again. We're charging your battery up a little bit. I love interacting with the viewers. I love interacting and just kind of unpacking the stories. I do also find it concerning. It's not just Catherine Herridge. It's also Mike Cernovich, one of the, and I did have the pleasure of interviewing him at, what the hell was that? Was that Politicon? No, what was that? Politicon?
Yeah, I think it was Politicon. Yeah.
Yeah. So go on the YouTube channel. You can find me talking with Cerno, and who else I talked to? Stefan Molyneux. They did a movie. But yeah, Cernovich here, he put on X. He put this out on Christmas. And by the way, if you didn't see Trump's Christmas tweets, you got to check those out, or his truths. They were pretty awesome, telling Jack Smith to go to hell. those are his Christmas tweets, but really, he should go to hell. But anyway, Cernovich here, he says, in 2024, I expect a major attack on the U.S. This will be blamed on the Houthi and thus Iran. The Ukrainian money laundering stopped, and Israel doesn't need that much cash. There needs to be a new spigot turned on. Bookmark this and call me out if it doesn't happen. Blake, I know you didn't happen to see this Cernovich thing, but I mean, this comes out right around the same time that Catherine Herridge put her thing out. What do you make of what he says? It kind of, shifting it from Ukraine money laundering, Israel, kind of moving past them and saying it's going to be the Houthis, therefore Iran. And Iran was on one of those, one of the countries that General Wesley Clark said it was on the list, on the big board, that said we're going to go and invade these countries. And they've all been saying, oh, it's going to be Iran. It's going to be Iran. It seems like Iran is going to be the new Russia. Remember how everybody blamed, oh, it's a Russian P-tape. Oh, it's a Russian scandal. Oh, Donald Trump's a Putin puppet. Oh, it's Russia. It's a Russia hoax. Okay, it seems like they pivoted off of Russia because they took Ukraine down. And now it's like they're moving to the Houthis in Iran. What say you? Do you see that as obviously as I see it?
Oh, it's definitely possible. So yes, it's there's a lot of countries that don't like us or Israel, and they could be here, they could be sleeper cells or what have you, getting ready to fight back against their mortal enemy. So,
Jocelyn here is saying civil war, Trump will be elected, deport the illegal invaders. Meanwhile, banks fail and Democrats lose control of big cities and revolt. It'll be blamed on Trump and people will turn on Republicans. I mean, that's one of the theories, Blake.
Yeah, they're setting it up that way. So it's of course it's going to be America's fault. And I think Jocelyn was sharing a story, very alarming story, with this kind of illegal immigrant invasion. So not only is it's on the border, they're flying these people in. Who knows if they're going to get voter IDs or what have you? But I'm also hearing that the ATF is just allowing them to buy guns, and they're going to be allowed to join the police force in Chicago or I don't know, Detroit or
Los Angeles.
So it seems like they're going to be turning some of these people against the American, the classic Americana. Now, there could be a civil war. They could absolutely be gearing up. So they're going to take us down a few pegs. So we'll jump into that one as well. But so I guess, or maybe we should go because yes, I think we both kind of agree maybe that there's going to be a black swan and perhaps unforeseen. So with all of these major things happening, at some point something is going to bite us. But of course, black swan is supposed to be something that completely unforeseen, just kind of blindsided. We're going to get hit with something, but that could very well be. Or yes, it's the Elohim invasion. They're going to come back to take what's theirs, and they created us, so hey, they can do what they want. So we're just their, servants. If you
hey, real quick before we make a pivot, I know that was a good time to move to the illegal invasion thing. But two quick questions from Free Breather on the YouTube channel. He says, Blake, can you elaborate? And I'll ask you to elaborate quickly because we are trying to move today's show quicker than usual. Although I love interacting with all of you. Like this is one of my favorite parts of the week. Can you elaborate on the polar flip? Just a couple sentences, like because you mentioned it and Free Breather's asking. What do you mean by polar flip? You mentioned it and they're asking.
Yeah, like the Earth tilts like 90 degrees like every 12,000 years. So I guess they've done tests. They've had like military scientists that have gone to the poles. They've taken samples from the Earth's core in Antarctica or Greenland. And what they find is like every 12,000 years or so, there's a part where like Antarctica is a tropical island. So they study like, the trees. So like we know trees have a ring, so you can tell how old a tree is because there's a ring symbolizing every year of their growth because they go through a seasonal cycle. But in the rainforest, they don't have rings because they're always growing so fast. So if you study the samples in Antarctica of old trees, they found ones that don't have rings, suggesting that that the Earth flips every so often. It's part of a solar micronova. So you might want to follow Ben Davidson, Suspicious Observers on YouTube. He's a really extremely smart guy, scientific mind, and he puts out a lot of content. So if you want further information on that, I would highly recommend his videos for that. I'm not scientific enough to explain it, but I have seen that, and I've watched like the Graham Hancock series, showing these catastrophes that do happen, and we have just amazing architecture around the globe of all of these advanced structures from previous civilizations unknown. So it does seem to follow a pattern, yes, and there's like major events, yes, following that cycle. But again, I would refer you to Ben Davidson on that, his expertise.
Also, follow-up question from Free Breather, just kind of as we were talking about ancient aliens and beings from the heavens descending from the stars. Does Blake think that we've been to the moon?
Yeah, I think we've been to the moon, and I think we were probably warned not to come. I think the moon is inhabited. I really do think the moon is like artificial, and it came from elsewhere, and it's now in our orbit. It's not a natural phenomenon, and it could have been some space station. I don't know. It doesn't. We only see one side of it, so I think that I don't know whether it's still inhabited or not, but I guess as woo as it sounds, and maybe that's the reason we haven't been back, because it is inhabited, and the people that are the entities that were there were like, okay, no, you're not coming back. You're not doing that. So woo, call me woo, but I think that's my stance on that for now.
Well, one of our stories coming up, it's going to be about the Russian textbooks for 11th graders, what they're being taught. And as I was tweeting that out sending that out on X, I saw some articles about Russians going in and taking Ukrainian textbooks and removing their textbooks. And just you think about how the history we have and how controlled history is, his story. The winners get to write history. And you look at the Smithsonian getting rid of all of the giant bones and all the things that could be hidden from our history. It's kind of astonishing. Jocelyn here, she says they've had to repaint landing strips at airports because the North Pole has been moving into Siberia at the rate of 40 miles per year. That is friggin' wild. Yeah,
the magnetic field is weakening, and then the magnetic poles are moving like rapidly. So suggesting that there's going to be another flip coming, maybe in the next 10 or 20 years.
Jocelyn adds that the polar flip was immediate because they found frozen mammoths with buttercups still in their stomach. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
they say the ice ages aren't like hundreds of years, or they're actually very rapid. That just comes in this natural part of the cycle where there's a solar micronova from the sun, and then the Earth gets tossed around a little bit, shifts one way or another because of the magnetic poles, and then gets it's a reset. It's a global reset, but not in the same way from the World Economic Forum. And yes, he said Timothy's met Ben Davidson, knows his stuff. He does come off as an arrogant prick. I will definitely give you that. He used to be such a nice, humble guy, like a nerd, and is doing the space weather from his computer. And then he got really into like Andrew Tate, and then he became like super alpha male. And now he's he can be definitely an arrogant prick on the internet. But he's definitely, you should absolutely follow him on Twitter as well. So, but sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's like, come on, Ben, don't take yourself too seriously. But
who is that again? Ben who?
Ben Davidson.
I have no idea who it is, but I'll put him on my radar. Maybe I'll check.
Out of all the years, and I've talked about suspicious observers, because I've followed him for at least 10 or 12 years, I swear, for a long time, even though I don't understand a lot of the stuff he's talking about. But yeah, he's been around a while. You should definitely have him on your radar. Absolutely.
I should get back to having guests on and get him on as a guest. How about that? Okay, then let's move into the next topic, shall we?
Okay.
All right, so we are talking about this Black Swan event, and you got up to 15 million people that have invaded this country, have not gone in through the front door. They snuck through the back. And anybody sneaking into your home, you got to question their intentions. Blake, agree or disagree that what's happening now is not technically an illegal invasion? It's just an irregular migration.
Well, yeah, that's the one way of spinning it. But yeah, no, to go back to your analogy, it's kind of like the movie ushers are outside and they're actually, letting people in on purpose. So it's not even that they're sneaking in. They're being enticed to come in. It's like, here, we got free candy and popcorn and free pictures. Here, just come on in. They're flying these people in. They don't even have to show ID or anything. So yeah, Americans are getting, groped and forced through weird, creepy, porno radioactive scanners at the airport and getting felt up by creepy TSA agents. Meanwhile, refugees, I wouldn't even call them refugees, just illegal immigrants are just being ushered in and given all kinds of free goodies. Here's your phone, here's a gift card, here's your money, and then they're going to be allowed, I guess, supposedly to get driver's licenses, voting IDs, and perhaps guns. So I don't know all of this stuff. That's some of the rumors I'm hearing. Otherwise, I'm curious, what is our immigration policy and why is this happening? And when they were called out on it, they said, oh, it's just it's an irregular migration, because they had another giant group of people just pouring over the border, anywhere from 8 million to 15 million, and they're going to continue this without any explanation or justification. So it just it keeps continuing. So let me see if I can follow it. Let me find this particular article. It's called Newspeak. Here we go. Let's share this. This is where I got it from. White House calling the massive caravan heading to U.S. an irregular migration. Massive caravan of 8,000 migrants making its way through southern Mexico. It comes as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and other senior advisors are holding meetings with Mexican officials to discuss the current migrant surge. Not to stop, not to put the National Guard out there, not to reinforce Border Patrol, not to dissuade people from coming. They're just going to have a little discussion. So, discussing the topic on social media, X, Blinken acknowledged they shared efforts of both countries to reduce irregular migration. Like they've allowed this thing to happen. And then 4 years later, 3 years later, now they're just calling it irregular because they're basically incentivizing these people to come here. It's insane. So it's important to know that the migrant caravan coming from Central America, it's a complex issue that goes beyond just border security. So many of them have fled their countries due to violence, political instability, and economic hardship, or the pandemic, or this or that. But that's all they got to say is like, oh, I'm a refugee, or blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to escape. And then welcome on in. Here's your phone. Here's some money. Go chill out. And it's crazy. So it's insanity. And who knows if these people could be potentially used against us. So I'm going to pull up this quick video from Jocelyn, I believe. Sent us this on Twitter. So let's check this out. Take it with a grain of salt. I can't completely verify, but it seems legit, and it would not surprise me in the least. So here we go. Oh, of course.
So my husband owns a gun shop, and he just called me to tell me that the ATF has made updates to their background check policy, and effective today, they give an exemption to illegal immigrants to be able to purchase firearms. Now, this strangely coincides with California, New York, and Chicago making it legal for illegals to be police officers. Tell me our government isn't about to pull some shenanigans without telling me our government's about to pull some shenanigans.
Yeah, why can't they just explain what our immigration policy is? Why they always just gotta dodge the question, act like they're doing something when they're clearly not, acting like it's not an invasion, it's not a crisis, there's nothing going on, big deal. And yet we're watching it in real time, the staggering number of people that are coming over. That's just the southern border. We don't know about all the people that are being flown in, and we don't know what's happening at the northern border. They're not covering that. I've heard, rumors at least that the northern border is just as bad as the southern border. And who's enforcing it? We're not. So what are they gearing up for? If they're going to let these illegals get driver's license, when they got to have car insurance, so they have to have a driver's license. And so are they going to be voting? Are they going to have firearms? Are they going to take these, jobs in the police force? Are they going to be turned on us? It's unknown, but it doesn't look good. And I don't trust the people running the show. So I have every reason to think that this is going to be bad news.
I agree. I also want to point out this here. This is just a little point of reference. Obama resettled 70,000 Somalians into Minnesota. That's your hometown, Blake. Your home, your backyard. They were allowed to vote, and they elected Ilhan Omar to Congress. Was it planned? You betcha. What do you think Democrats are going to do with over 15 million illegal aliens. This is their plan to replace your vote. Underneath here, this is Obama's lies about non-citizens. Well, let's let him talk. I know we kind of had this going on in a private group. I took this one way and somebody else took it a different way. I think it's crystal clear what's going on here, but let's hear this traitor talk in his own words.
Will try to discourage you from voting. If you want to vote and you show up at your polling place, they can't stop you from voting. They can't stop you from voting. If people want to know how to vote, then you can go to iwillvote.com. The fact of the matter is that we give our power away all the time. You know, we tell ourselves, oh, it's hard, it's not going to matter, it's not going to count. And the powers that be, they're counting on us giving our power away.
Many of the millennials, dreamers, undocumented citizens, and I call them citizens because they contribute to this country.
By the way, I'm going to pause and rewind that here because this is perhaps the most key part of the context here. Blake, I don't know if you followed this. I didn't see you chime in the Telegram group, but the other person well, that's not really what they're saying here. And my response was, no. This is this is an actress. She's from Jane the Virgin or something like that. She's setting up everybody she wants to vote and to clarify exactly who Obama's talking about. Were you going to say something there, Blake?
No, I mean, I tend to agree with you. It's tough to make a position on that because, yes, technically Obama was the deporter in chief, but we kind of knew what he's kind of softening up the immigration policy, and this is what he wanted. And now I think that he's kind of one of the puppet masters behind the Biden regime, and now he wouldn't have, if Obama was in office, he wouldn't be able to get away with what's going on the border now. But I think that's absolutely what he wanted. I think that's absolutely what Hillary and Bill Clinton want. They were all the Cloward Piven strategy of bringing in these immigrants and breaking the system and transforming America. And yes, I think Obama is absolutely one of the key people behind these new policies, and they will absolutely do whatever it takes to win elections and stay in power. And if they can use these people as a voting bloc, they absolutely will.
And, I've said this for a long time. This is Barack Hussein Obama's third term, his shadow term, and his most honest term. He has a puppet named Biden. Like, Biden doesn't know what day it is or how to change his underwear. His brother's doing the money laundering allegedly. His son is the bag man. Jim is the one setting up the deals. He's just collecting his 10%. He's a skin suit corpse being marionette puppeted around. But this is Barack Hussein Obama, his most honest term. Yet you're very accurate and astute, Blake, to point out that he's getting away with more now that he's not the front man. He can get a lot more done from behind the scenes. It's like that interview where he says, "Oh well, if I could be in the basement, say with an earpiece, maybe telling somebody what to say, then yeah, maybe I would like to be have another term." Something along those lines, Blake. It's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, this lady, she sets it up exactly. She wants to redirect and make sure everybody who's here illegally is hearing exactly what she wants them to hear as Obama's doubling down and telling them to go vote. So here she is reframing it again, and we'll listen to Obama's response.
Our way.
Many of the millennials, dreamers, undocumented citizens, and I call them citizens because they contribute to this country, are...
And she calls them citizens because they contribute to this country. They're not. But she calls them citizens because they contribute to this country. Right? She calls them citizens. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just can't.
Excited to speak to Obama.
She is, and she calls them citizens because they country.
Citizens, and I call them citizens because they contribute to this country, are fearful of voting. So if I vote...
They're fearful of voting because they're not allowed to.
Will immigration know where I live? Will they come for my family and deport us?
Will they come for us? Will they find us? Will they deport us? If I'm here illegally and I want to go vote, and I call them citizens because they contribute to our country. So here's Obama telling them.
Not true.
Okay.
And the reason is, first of all, when you vote, You are a citizen yourself.
He's saying when you vote, you are a citizen yourself. No. It's the he's doing these word games intentionally. It's the cart before the horse. It's the exact opposite. If you are a citizen and you're here legally, then you get to vote. That's not what he's saying.
When you vote, you are a citizen yourself, and there is not a situation where the voting rolls somehow are transferred over and people start investigating, etc.
So nobody's going to be investigating voter rolls. That sounds troubling.
Saying to the vote is strictly confidential in terms.
Confidential. You can get away with whatever you want. It's confidential. Nobody's going to be looking at the
Strictly
voter
confidential in terms of who you voted for. If you have a family member who maybe is undocumented, then you have an even greater reason to vote.
This has been
Holy hell.
Justify the mean stuff. So as long as they can win elections and do whatever it takes, it's okay by them. So it's justifiable. But that should not be how things are. We want to welcome immigrants that want to be a part of this country and contribute, but they shouldn't be allowed to vote for probably several years, like 5 years at least, till they're really assimilated into this country. They're Americanized. They have a job. They speak the language, and then they can get a vote. Then they become full citizens. That's great. We want to reward good people that do things the right way and keep them here, but not just leaky border. Bring 15 million people in here and that are going to win. If they can't, win by getting Trump off the ballot or putting their political enemies in prison, then they're going to give voting rights to people that aren't citizens and stuffing the ballot boxes or harvesting ballots, or maybe they'll mail ballots to the citizens, and maybe if they can't use them, they'll fill them out and nobody will check the signatures. Our process is totally broken. So. And there are people like Obama who will absolutely use that to their advantage and exploit that. And if they win, again, it's ends justify the means.
Yeah. So this has got to be the number one issue ASAP, immediately, Blake. We don't have a nation if we're going to allow this. You couldn't take 15 million Americans and move them into Israel, move them into Palestine, move them into Germany, move them into Russia. There's just no way that you can have a country if you allow someone to move in and absolutely change your culture and your history. Jocelyn says they lie at every turn. They lied to get Obamacare passed. They lied about Benghazi. They lied about Hillary's private server and emails, and now they're calling on illegal aliens to vote. Yes, Kenneth, there is disorder at the border. And Jocelyn continues here that Obama's response seemed to ignore the fact that if you are here illegally, you cannot vote. Oh, yeah, I think he was careful. I think for not being an actual attorney, Obama is one of the most deceptive people in what he says and what he doesn't say. I think that if you are here and you do have someone in your family who may not be legal, that's more of a reason to go vote. And he says things in such a way where it's kind of like, well, is he talking to the people? Well, he almost made it sound like bullshit. That is you want to see a dog whistle, an actual dog whistle? We've heard the term dog whistle misused and scapegoated and just, ooh, it's a straw man. There's a dog whistle everywhere. That was the dog whistle of all dog whistles, calling on 15 million illegal people to swing the entire vote because they know that nobody in their right mind will vote for that Democrat Party. So yeah. Okay. Anyway, Blake, any final thoughts on that particular topic, sir?
No, I think we can move on from there.
All right, good. Let's do that then. Okay, so it's not technically an illegal invasion. It's irregular migration. We're going to disagree on that one. Okay. I guess, did we kind of cover this? Because this is the third topic, but I mean, did we adequately cover that the government is planning to pit immigrants against natives? Do you think that was wrapped up in your synopsis?
If they're going to allow them to be police officers and allow them to purchase firearms. And yeah, they could absolutely be used against us. So since they're not giving us any clarity on what their border policy is, it seems like this is what's happening. And you'll have to change my mind. But they're not their lack of transparency is very telling. So I think they will use whatever they can against the MAGA Americans, the classic American people. And it's going to be the replacement. And as long as they can stay in power, they're totally cool with that. The last thing they want is Trump or a populist to get back into power and retaliate against them. And so if that means giving illegals voting rights and firearms, then so be it.
And I'm also calling on Congress to do their damn job. Impeach Mayorkas and impeach Biden and impeach Harris. It's perfect. You put Mike Johnson in office temporarily until you get Trump back in there. The dereliction of duty at the southern border is obvious. The intentional violation of our immigration laws is obvious. The covert plan, I'm doing air quotes because there's nothing covert about this. This is very obvious what they're doing. Kamala Harris was thankfully appointed as the border czar. She is so guilty up to her eyeballs in this. Biden by proxy as the head of the country, and allegedly the head of whatever he's doing, and Mayorkas, all three of them need to be impeached immediately for dereliction of duty and treason. Immediately. We can go after Biden's financial records, all of his bribery, all of the corruption. Sure. I mean, stack those charges on after they're removed from office and tried for treason for what they're doing at the southern border. It is the easiest way to get rid of this regime immediately and put Mike Johnson in as a placeholder. I'm not particularly a super big fan of Mike Johnson, but it's anything to stop this madness. And just a little blurb here. I just wanted to add, one of the people who's been staunchly calling for impeachment, where McCarthy may have been backing down, and some of the other spineless wimps in Congress are just kind of going with the uniparty. They don't want to make waves. They don't want to be Madison Cawthorn. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's been really going after it. And she said that her daughter just got her home swatted today, following multiple SWAT attempts on Marjorie Taylor Greene herself. The left has completely lost their minds. I fear we're just seeing the start of their insanity as they realize Trump will obviously win in 2024. Pray for our country. This swatting thing, these are all attempted murders. Every SWAT is an attempted murder. We need to stop calling it SWAT. And just like, what do they say with an underage? Anyway, there's a way to just call a rape what it is. A rape is a rape. It's an no, it's a rape. Like you can't consent. Like it's not somebody called the police and hassled them. No. They're saying there's an active shooter situation. They come in guns drawn. They want a shooting situation. They want you to show up, like that guy in Utah who was a 400-pound keyboard warrior. Like Joe Biden is trash. I'd take him out. So they go and blow him up in his house at 4 a.m. instead of arresting him in the parking lot of Walmart. They could have easily arrested the guy. They executed him instead. You're supposed to have your day in court. I thought that's what they were saying about with the Derek Chauvin case. Oh, well, you can't just execute somebody on the street. You're supposed to have your day in court, even if you are a dirtbag who pistol whipped a pregnant mother and held a gun to her belly. Okay, well, yeah, you should have your day in court. You shouldn't be summarily executed. But that's what these SWAT jobs are. Just a little side story, but there's nothing side story about trying to assassinate members.
Gross. Yeah, it's not an MTG. Was also Jack Posobiec. His like parents. I guess they got swatted. I don't know if it was once or twice. I was kind of away from Twitter for a few days during Christmas and everything going on, but that was another one. I was like, wow, they're actually like targeting his parents. I mean, how sick do you have to be? Like, how bad do you have to be, losing some ideological war that you're going to even come to that? Like, there's, so many crazy leftists that I see on Twitter that, I don't care, I engage with or what have you. At no point would I ever think, oh my God, I should go try to find out where they live or where their parents live, and I'm going to call in the SWATs and try to say, hey, so and so tried to murder their parents, and now they're threatening to kill themselves or what have you, or whatever their cover story they're giving, and sending out the police on Christmas of all things too. So I mean, I don't get it. They've lost their minds. I don't know what. I don't know. There's no punishment harsh enough. It's so sickening to target people because you can't have a debate or just there's so many different ways of getting your point across or making your voice heard or something. You could make your whole channel about going after Jack Posobiec and you would probably get tons of views on it if that's what you wanted to do. But taking that step further and trying to actually get him and his family killed. Or they do it to Tim Pool. I think it's been 13, 14 times. They probably don't even listen to the attacks anymore. But I mean, that's so over the line and so disgusting. This is not the left I used to know.
I think I would just say they've always been this nasty.
No. Like during the Bush years.
Always been. I will just say they've always been rigging the news. They've always been lying about the facts. They've always gone to ridiculous lengths to slander anyone conservative or libertarian. They've always been vile. They've always been deceptive. They've always been bitter and angry and vindictive and self-loathing. That's who the left is by nature.
I don't know, Brian. To me, in those 90s, 2000s, it was so easy for a guy like Jon Stewart or for Bill Maher to just easily. It was just open season on the Republicans. They were so easy to go after because just with their social conservative and their warmongering stuff. It was just easy material for comedians. There was no reason to resort to any kind of violence. That was just unheard of. Unless it was a couple of, crazy radicals that, Obama used, like Weather Underground, like some of these crazy, extreme leftist, commie radicals. That was different. But, no. I just thought
like Bill Ayers
stock to me for a long time.
Maybe like Bill Ayers, where Obama got his political start in his living room. And
he probably wrote his book, The Dreams from My Real Father. I think he actually wrote it.
Good times. Yeah, they've gotten more militant because the more we've learned about their ideology, the more they're being rejected. The more that their false framings don't hold up any scrutiny, any ideological scrutiny. Everything collapses. The entire platform of that party is a house of cards. It's deflect, deflect, deflect. Who's this? Gardenia B. What's up, Gardenia B? Does that make you a Cowboys fan? I see a star there. She's saying, he or she is saying, nah, not the Dems of JFK days. It is the deep state perverts. Well, welcome to the program. I don't remember reading your comments before, but thanks for being here. Yeah, the deep state perverts, no doubt. They're allegedly going to let the Epstein flight logs out in a week or so. I mean, I'll believe it if I see it, and it's been 2 or 3 years now. How are you even going to trust what's on there? I don't know. We'll see what happens when it comes out. But yeah. Anyway, okay, let's bounce to the next topic, Blake. Not quite the lightning round, but sort of lightning round because we're doing an abbreviated show today.
All right.
Blake has a sweet spot of about 60 to 90 minutes, and we are just now about ready to cross the 1 hour mark. So we're going to start moving into these topics a little quicker now. Okay, Blake, agree or disagree that removing... oh, by the way, follow Blake on X. He's at TV's Blake Walley and thenextlevelnews.com. Also, go on Spotify and search the Agree to Disagree Show and subscribe to our podcast. That would be awesome. On X, we are at American_media_. On Rumble, The New American Media. Go to YouTube, youtube.com/The New American Media. We got 1,300 videos, millions of views. Check us out. It's good stuff. Lots of content over the past 12 years. And Facebook, TNAM's The Agree to Disagree Show. Okay, Blake, agree or disagree that removing Trump from state ballots is an attack on democracy?
Absolutely, yes. It's the irony because they're always talking about how somehow MAGA Republicans are attacking democracy all the time.
It's such a
It gets
tired
old.
phrase.
Yeah, and
Such
it
a
makes no
tired phrase.
sense. But meanwhile, there are all this, election interference, this and that. But meanwhile, they're actually trying to, they're targeting for every kind of lawfare imaginable, and they are committing election interference. And yes, it is an attack on democracy to try to, remove your, opposition candidates from ballots. I mean, this is unprecedented. This has not ever happened here in America. And they keep trying to, say it's for insurrection. It's insurrection. But they keep using that word all they want, but it doesn't mean that it actually was an insurrection. It was not. So it was a peaceful protest with a few agitators. And Trump did not call for, he's called peacefully and patriotically for people to get their voices heard, to, just to walk towards the Capitol. That was it. Yeah.
And Trump also called for the National Guard on multiple occasions, Blake. He called for the National Guard.
Right. And so they're trying to use it. And they, deceptively, when they took him off the Colorado ballot, they deceptively, removed the language where he says peacefully and patriotically. They try to deliberately frame that and try to make it an insurrection and use some old, ancient amendment clause to say you can't be on the ballot or you can't be elected president if you're involved in an insurrection against the country. So it's a sickening frame job, and they're actually trying to do it on multiple other states, including California, which is one of the reasons I came up with this. But I also just got a news alert from Truth Social. I think they put them back on the ballot now in Colorado.
Well, hold on.
Let me verify that.
Colorado has always, they put their own stay on their own order before it even went to the Supreme Court where it's going to get shot down. They said if Trump appeals it, which of course President Trump is going to appeal it, the order will be stayed until or unless the Supreme Court chimes in and makes a determination. They stayed their own order. They know it's bullshit. They know it will never hold up. So even when they said Trump's off the ballot, oh, by the way, if he appeals, which he will, we're going to stay this and it's not going to go into effect. It was all just a political stunt. All a stunt, Blake.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. I don't know what they're afraid of. They can't, take him on the issues. No, they're just going to try to, convict him, throw him in prison, or accuse him of an insurrection when he's never been charged for such a thing. They can only keep people in they're in their own little bubble, and they believe this BS story. But I mean, this isn't going to fly, and in fact, it could probably backfire badly. So, and then what are they going to talk about? Protecting democracy. Meanwhile, I mean, even even people in other countries are just like, oh my God, like this is not the America that anybody knew. So it just doesn't fly here. So they're just trying to reinvent things, and they're terrified of Trump getting back into power, and they're making very desperate maneuvers. And it's not looking so good. But yeah, it's a Truth Social breaking. I don't know how much to put into this, but Colorado Secretary of State says that Trump is back on the ballot. So yes, it was another political stunt. And there's more stuff just going into. You got Jack Smith, a special prosecutor. He's asking court to ban Trump from introducing evidence of the January 6th security failures. See, they want to frame this as he tried to incite an insurrection, but then they got to remove all the evidence. They have to remove the video where he says peacefully and patriotically, and they got to remove anything, showing that they have the security failures, or yes, they were calling for the National Guard, which should have been done, and then none of the problems from January 6th ever would have happened because nobody would have gotten anywhere near the building. And then they could have had the regular proceedings. They didn't want that either. So they wanted to get a few agitators to rile up the crowd or fire a few flashbangs in the crowd. A couple of people actually died from that. So it's pretty bad. So their frame job did not work, and they can't sit there and hide the evidence and try to misrepresent things the way that actually happened. You got Trump responding to Jack Smith's illegal court filing, an attempt to take away his First Amendment rights. So he wants to, prevent President Trump from blaming the provocateurs and undercover agents. So with the public statements, so yes, they can't do this. I mean, this is just completely against our justice system. People are supposed to have access to all the information. I mean, they actually were putting, peaceful protesters in jail because they won't be able to show their evidence, saying that, they're just peacefully walking through the Capitol and had no idea. The police are right there. They're escorting people. They're not trying to kick anybody out. They didn't know. So it's really frightening times here in America. And we've got these, these prosecutors that, have a vendetta, and they are just really trying to take down Trump.
And Jack Smith trying to say that Trump doesn't have the right to defend himself by admitting the evidence that clearly proves that this is as ridiculous as what's going on in New York, as ridiculous as what's going on in Georgia. It's so blatantly anti jurisprudence. It's anti rule of law. This is banana republic nonsense. He called for the National Guard on at least 2 occasions. Bowser and Pelosi turned him down. Pelosi destroyed all the exculpatory evidence, air quote, evidence against President Trump with their kangaroo court, their unselect committee. It's obvious that he called for the National Guard on multiple occasions, and Pelosi set him up. It's obvious that at the rally he was saying, go there peacefully and patriotically, make your voices heard. They're eliminating that. They are trying to do the same thing like when they said, Nazis are fine people. He never said that. That was a deceptive, lying legacy media thing. He never said to go drink bleach. He never said, it's one lie after the next. And this Jack Smith saying that he doesn't even have a right to be in this position, and all of this stuff is going to get thrown out. That's a story that came out since our last show as well, Blake. I don't know, that was in our stack. I don't know if you had anything on that, but I mean, the calls to say that Jack Smith has zero authority. He's improperly in this position. He doesn't belong as a prosecutor. I don't know if you had anything on that or had any thoughts on it.
Not really. I try to avoid things, heavy legal stuff. I'm not a legal analyst, so I wouldn't be qualified. But obviously it's a political hit job, and to try to set somebody up and frame them and not let them use evidence to make their case. It's just you can't do that. But they are, they're making things up. They're doing new things, unprecedented new forms of lawfare, and they're actually trying to take down a former president of the United States, or maybe
the future president,
who's trying to run again, and they're actually committing election interference. The irony. So,
all right. Okay.
We have Nikki Haley for the running mate. I know that was a big story, and people were freaking out about that. They thought Trump was seriously entertaining having Nikki Haley as VP, but I think they were probably just trolling. And he said that they hadn't even got to that point yet where they're thinking about adding a running mate, and certainly should not be Nikki Haley. And then there was that embarrassment where she got called out about the Civil War and completely failed to mention that slavery had anything to do with it. So she's not qualified. She's also just a puppet of the military industrial complex and the globalists. She has no reason to be up there.
That is a weird question, though. Like, where does that even come from? Like, what was the point of that? Just to try to, I don't know. I mean, everybody.
Well, it was an easy slam dunk, or at least it could have been mentioned. And then she's just, I don't know. But she mentions everything except for, the obviously very key issue of slavery. That was a big factor and a huge element, really, in America since the beginning. But she fumbled that pretty badly, and she's really should not be qualified.
And she's from where? She's from South Carolina, right? That's where she was at.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if she was with the question. I'm not sure. She might have been in Iowa, or I can't remember.
No. I mean that she was serving, like she can't.
Yeah, governor of South Carolina,
from South Carolina, because in the South they'll say that it was the war of northern aggression. That's the phrase that people will say. Not all people, but some people will say that they'll refer to that war as the war of northern aggression. I don't know if that's the gotcha that the questionnaire, the interviewer was hoping to catch her slipping on, or wanted her to say something. I don't know. It's kind of stupid, but I mean, doesn't everybody know?
Kind of stupid too. So yeah, and then she kind of dodged the question, and it obviously was an embarrassing media debacle. So, and I don't care. I don't like her. So
yeah, I find her embarrassing for 100 other reasons. I mean, this one doesn't really move the needle for me because she's been off of my radar for a very long time. I have zero interest in her anyway. So anyway, okay. So removing Trump from the state ballots is an attack on democracy. Gotcha. Okay. Then let's go into the next topic here, shall we? As soon as the design comes up. There we go. Almost. Trying. Frozen. Here we go. Oh, I like this intro. This stinger. All right, Blake, agree or disagree that Bidenomics is working, but the media is just not covering it the right way?
I'm going to disagree. I don't.
Well, you are so un-American.
Yeah, no, but I do a lot of shopping, and I noticed that prices have gone up pretty significantly. I know that the debt is rising dramatically, and I don't see how they're going to curb that. They're not curbing any of the spending, especially when it came to Ukraine. And then how much money they're going to be putting into to Israel, or who knows, funding both sides in this conflict as well. So, yeah, I don't think it's working too well. And then, of course, you got the rise of BRICS nations. You've got people, you've got Saudi Arabia, who's not doing necessarily taking all of knocking the petrodollar kind of off the pedestal. So they're going to be taking payments in yuan or rubies. I don't know if, other currencies. So it's not going to be U.S. as the dollar dominance. The days are numbered. And so, yeah, there's a lot of problems with Bidenomics, but you're not going to hear that from him. So when he got called out on it, he said, the journalists should be reporting it the right way. So let me pull up a quick story on that.
Oh, right way.
We'll click. Here it is. Biden lashing out at the news media amid his lagging poll numbers and deepening unpopularity. 81-year-old Democrat claimed the media is distorting the state of the economy as he departed the White House on Saturday for Camp David. Said it's all good, Biden said in response to the economic prospects for next year. Take a look and start reporting it the right way. Here we go.
About the economy, sir, what's your outlook on the economy next year?
All good. Take a look. Start reporting it the right way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, at least he's got a smile.
Was a loud background noise too. Sorry, podcast listeners. That was a lot. It was like you were inside.
Yeah, I hate that. They do ask a lot of questions when they're like on the tarmac, and there's the helicopters and the airplanes, and you got those engines rolling, and it's very loud. So yes, little wake up on a Thursday. Forgot about that.
A little bit.
Anyway. But what do you think, Brian? Inflation fueling price hikes, and of course, well, I guess they kept the gas prices down a little, but only because they've pissed away all of our strategic oil reserves.
Thank you. I'm not concerned about the prices until the national strategic oil reserves are completely rounded out. I want to see those completely filled up, and I want more of them, especially as we're on the brink of multiple fronts. By the way, also as China is circling Taiwan in the most aggressive way they have been ever, it's very possible that we're going to end up in multiple conflicts at once. We need those reserves more than ever before. So I'm not super concerned about the price at the pump. I'm concerned about what happens when the spigot is turned off temporarily. So no, there's nothing good going on right now. You can't have this many trillions of dollars in debt, in the national debt. What is it, 30 trillion? I don't even know. What is the latest number, Blake?
30. It's over 33.
So stupid. It's beyond unsustainable. I mean, it's something where I think Vivek was pretty sharp to point out, like you might not be able to reduce the size and scope of government unless you say it's going to be across the board and you're just going to take 10% off of everyone. So then you can phase things out in a different way that you might not normally be able to. I mean, we've so far surpassed the point where 5% off of every piece of the budget, like in perpetuity. This whole we have to spend, and look, Donald Trump has not been good about reining in spending. He added a lot, but a lot of that was added because of COVID, and a lot of COVID was because of Fauci and what Fauci was saying, and because of what the blue states were doing, and because of the advice that he was getting. And there's a lot of reasons behind that. But Trump is a big spending, big borrowing kind of guy, so he's not really going to be the one to get the inflation in order with the U.S. debt clock. Yeah, trillions of unfunded liabilities. It's pretty much insanity at its finest. So we're in big trouble, Blake. I don't know how we get out of this. I don't know what.
Wipe it all out. Say no. Wipe out the Federal Reserve and start a new bank. We're gonna have a reset of our own here. Yeah, we're approaching. Looking at that clock, we are so close to $34 trillion in debt. That's probably just weeks away. I don't even know. Looking at that clock, so 33.95 and soaring. There's never been like a big payment done. They just keep raising the limit. So, yeah, I've never seen it go down before. Have you?
No, no.
We made a $1 trillion payment. Now it's only 32.9. No, never happened. So we're just going to get sucked into this. It's only going to get worse, and it's going to go on for generations.
If there is some sort of grand plan to get us out of this, I think it's about high time we see it. Please. I don't know how we can survive. I really don't. I try to be positive. I say, let's never take the black pill. I do firmly believe that. But if we don't start doing anything differently, how in the world are we ever going to break free from it? So,
hey, let's run a quick video. I thought this was pretty cool. The Ultra MAGA Party taking down Joe Biden in an epic video. This come from Cat Turd? I don't know, or at least he shared it on Twitter. Let's run this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the oath of office, followed by musical honors.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
My fellow Americans, this is America's day. This is democracy's day.
And that feckless, dementia-ridden piece of just sent my son to die. I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning to Marines at my door telling me my son was dead. And I just want all you Democrats who cheated in the election or who voted for him legitimately, you just killed my son.
The will of the people has been heard. Democracy has prevailed.
It's been 3 weeks now since the toxic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. As you know, the mayor says he saw you in Ukraine, and he says it tells you he doesn't care about us. And they're asking, is the president coming to Ohio?
He's not doing what the president of the United States is supposed to be doing. We need him here. We need him now.
Where's the president? Where? Aren't we Americans too? Like, we're part of the United States, but why are we getting put in the back pocket? Why are we being ignored?
We have a little sense, Jill and I, what it's like to lose a home. To make a long story short, I almost lost my 67 Corvette and my cat. But all kidding aside, I watched the firefighters.
Are you sure that you want to run again?
Yes, because I'm sure Look,
I'm not saying that we're going to get a terror attack. I'm just saying that we are definitely at a heightened risk of it.
the idea that we're just going to let them starve to death and stay on the other side, I'm not going to do it.
We need Joe Biden out of there. He's destroying America. Thank you very much.
Okie doke. There
Yeah, I
you
got
go.
the feeling that was a Steve Bannon clip, and it was. They have a certain style to their 2, 3, 4 minute videos. Yeah, I dude, we're just living in a nightmare. I don't know. This past 3 years, man, it's been difficult. This is like the most unglorified. It's an episode of Punk'd that doesn't give you that release at the end, that final reveal of okay, getting punked the whole time. Oh, don't worry, trust the plan. It's the biggest sting operation in all time. Oh, well, they're gonna get them. Sure, they will.
Yep.
I mean, I'll believe it if I see it, but like, this is so what is the one quote? This is the longest, most unsatisfying "I told you so" in the history of mankind. We all saw this coming, but we probably didn't realize it was going to be this bad.
No idea. I was so optimistic too, like there was going to be trust the plan, and then all of a sudden something was going to happen, and they were going to reverse everything, vitiate. Is that what the word is? The interregnum. You know, they're going to get rid of the imposter president and put Trump back, and we're going to change everything, and everything was going to be great, and the Patriots were in control, and we had everything. This would all be done. But no, did not work out that way. In fact, it's just the exact opposite. So,
all right,
here we are.
Well, let's bounce more to the lightning round and start wrapping this up. We got a couple more topics we want to get to today. Follow Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley and the Next Level News. This is the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. All right, Blake. This was one that just kind of this story went everywhere. Agree or disagree that Russian textbooks are more accurate than U.S. legacy media?
That's pretty subjective. I don't know. It probably depends. Obviously, history is written by the conquerors, and people present things differently. For every war, for every major incident that happens. So you almost kind of have to look at different countries and kind of put together maybe a consensus, but it's always hard. So history is very convoluted that way. But very interesting to note. Yes, you brought that to my attention that the Russian textbooks are teaching students that Trump lost in a rigged election. And
yes, this is a story. Chuck Calesto put this out, and this story has been everywhere. It says, this just in, 11th grade Russian textbooks are teaching students that Trump lost 2020 in a rigged election. The book reads that Trump's loss was the result of an obvious electoral fraud by the Democratic Party. A recent Russian history textbook for 11th graders alleges that former U.S. President Donald Trump's defeat in 2020 presidential election was due to clear electoral fraud committed by the Democratic Party. Okay, that repeats itself. This claim from the textbook has gained attention on social media, with images of the book circulating wildly. Mark Bennett, a foreign correspondent for the Times UK, shared a translated excerpt from the book on his X account, highlighting the text's assertion that Trump's loss was the result of obvious electoral fraud by the Democratic Party. So, Blake, I mean, the rest of the world, other people see what a lot of people seem to feel. You know, they're seems to be no credible evidence that the 2020 election was rigged. That's what we have to say. And by the way, go to CISA.gov/rumor control if you want countervailing views on what those Russian textbooks have to say, because Russia, right? History is written by the winners. Russia wins their wars. The U.S. appears to have been overthrown. I don't know. What do we make?
Feels like we're an occupied country, doesn't it? Yes, we have been taken over from within.
From without as well.
Yes.
From without. There were foreign actors at play in this. This was not all an American overthrow in 2020. There were actors on the global stage that wanted this. So it seems.
Oh, absolutely. They cannot have, if you like the United States going into Vietnam to try to, prevent the spread of communism. It's like the communists / globalists / fascists have, meddled with America to stop the spread of populism. So they can't have MAGA win and then have other countries to follow suit. Even though there was a Malay, I don't know where the jury's still kind of out on that one. They've managed to stop Le Pen in France. Maybe a small setback in England, but they've taken that one back too. Didn't want Nigel Farage there. They stopped that one. And you've had Bukele in El Salvador. So you've had a few wins, a few losses, but yeah, it's a big battle between globalism and populism. And it's interesting to see different countries cover this. And that's very interesting for Russia to put that out. Very bold, but I like it. And they're not beholden to us. They don't have to worry about woke liberal media outlets crying about this. Yeah, the other countries can see and report things that we're not allowed to, and that's why you have Russia Today. Not that they're always going to be accurate. Everyone's going to cover things a little bit differently, but if you can kind of read between the lines and find a kind of a loose consensus, it's really hard to get an accurate look at what has actually happened. And there's just so much information, misinformation, disinformation, and trying to decipher it all can be a real challenge. But that's why we do this, Brian. So can't really count on the legacy, what's left of the lying legacy, to control reality, or they will distort it for sure.
But we can count on them to be exactly what we thought they were. We can count on them to be exactly what we thought they were. Liars and manipulators. So, okay, next.
Yeah.
All right, so this is normally where we're going to have our 2 minutes hate segment. We have four topics today to buzz through. Hey now. Okay, so maybe I'll do the first two first. I did share these. I don't know if where they're at. Did I put them on X? But agree or disagree on this one, that UN bags prove that the U.S. is funding Hamas terror attacks in Gaza. What say you, Blake?
The UN bags proving U.S. money is funding. Yeah, I guess we could agree. I guess I think they're funding both sides, as sometimes they do, and then we don't really keep a good accounting. So yes, they're supplying a lot of military equipment and a lot of money to Israel, and they're of course giving humanitarian aid to Palestine, the people in Gaza. And the UN is involved, and yeah, I don't know exactly where everything goes, but I do know there's a lot of horrific things happening over there. It's been ever since October 7th. It's just been a incredible shit show, and I hope the rest of the world doesn't get dragged into this mess, where it could be catastrophic for all of us, all of them too.
Yes.
So,
I did send you this story. I'm trying to find it here.
I probably got it on my screen. You looking at the tunnels or whatever?
Yeah, I can. If you have it, if you want to pull it, I'm going to try to pull it up here too. It's on Telegram.
I do have it. Let me just, I know there's a few stories I have.
Yeah, I found this one here. This is from
Okay.
Ali Oil. What do we got? Okay. I think it went here.
Okay, you got them both. Yeah, I've got one from Yari and one from Ollie.
And Ollie London TV.
Right? Yeah.
So these are UN bags that are in the Hamas terror tunnels. That they don't exist. Oh, there are no tunnels. There's no tunnels. There's no proof.
Where tunnels exist? I don't think anybody's disputing that the tunnels exist.
Many people are claiming that there are no tunnels and that they aren't under.
No. Who's saying there's no tunnels? No one's saying there's no tunnels. But every time they blow up a hospital, they always say, "Oh, it's headquarters, and they had tunnels and terrorists under there. It was just a front, and there's just human shields."
And so these are UN supplies that are being used in the terror tunnels. That's the point of this one. How do I get out of this? Okay. I guess so. Yeah. I mean, these are the supplies. These are what, bags of concrete that have been used.
I don't think those are bags of concrete. I don't. Why would they just put the bag in there? Like, I don't even understand why they're stuffed up there. But I mean, that almost looks like they're storage. I don't like. What would? Are they going to collapse without those bags there? So that's kind of where I'm going to have a disagreement there. That doesn't look like it's reinforcement. I mean, if they were bags of concrete, but I don't think they would be that liable.
I think there's ways, and I was just watching a video where actually I've watched probably 3 different videos in the past month or so where people take full bags of concrete and they just wet them down. They take a sprayer and they just wet them, and they'll put 100 of them or 500 of them in a row, and they'll make a whole driveway out of them. They just wet them down and they turn into hard concrete. I also saw them on like the banks of a river that was rising, and they were wetting the bags of concrete so that they would just turn into blocks right there to use as a barrier to keep the water from coming in. But anyway, this says UN aid bags. So it doesn't say concrete here, but it says UN aid bags being used to reinforce Hamas tunnels whilst being filled with humanitarian aid. Hundreds of bags from the UNRWA agency have been discovered and shown in video or photographic proof by IDF forces being used by Hamas throughout Gaza. So anyway, UN is taking so much money from the United States. And so is the United States actually behind this now? You got to kind of follow the funding, right? So something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it looks like they're being stored. I mean, I don't know where they're gonna put the humanitarian aid. I think the safe locations, they can't keep it in hospitals or schools or refuge camps or anything like that because they always get blown up. So maybe the tunnels are the safest place to store their supplies. I can't imagine that's using to reinforce it unless we absolutely know that they're being supplied concrete and those are actual concrete bags. But why wouldn't they take stuff out of the bags? I don't know. I need a little bit more information, but I'm highly skeptical that they would be using like humanitarian aid to reinforce concrete tunnels. I would think they need all the aid that they could get. But why would they be giving them concrete? If they are giving them, why would the UN would give them food and medical supplies? Why would they give them concrete for anything? Like, what are they possibly going to build? Like, yeah, here's a couple pallets of, concrete mix, and you guys can do what with it? Like in the middle of a war, under siege, they're going to start building stuff that could just be bombed in a second. So I'm skeptical. But I'm not like taking any particular stance. I'm just saying that's one way of looking at it. But until I know that those are actual concrete and they need them because the tunnels are collapsing, and I don't believe that the UN would supply concrete, and I don't think they would use medical supplies to reinforce a concrete tunnel. So it doesn't pass my sniff test. But anyway,
but it's at least more photographic proof than some of the killings that you wanted to see photographic proof of. So some footage is coming out, and there's a lot of the tunnels that are being discovered on a daily. It's all kind of coming out where maybe you're not saying it, but a lot of people are just oh, there are no tunnels. Oh, there's one tunnel. There's never any tunnels underneath any civilian.
I've never heard that, Brian. I mean, obviously they have a tunnel network.
Maybe not from you. I'm not saying you're saying it, but it's just, oh, there's no tunnels. Oh, nothing that Israel's bombed ever has a tunnel under it. It's every excuse possible. Not something you're saying. I'm just saying it's that a lot of the Hamas sympathizers just always keep saying, and day after day, week after week, it's concrete proof, to just use that term, that all of these they're being exposed, and it seems more likely than ever that this is exactly why Hamas was like, hey, ceasefire, stop. I don't want you to find all of our stuff. And it's like, well, no, we're not going to stop, and we're going to expose you for everything you are once and for all. We're done pussyfooting around. No more back and forth. We've had it with your shit. You're getting destroyed, and we're going to...
I don't know who's exposed worse, though, Brian. Yes, we could obviously Hamas, terrorists, awful, but then at the same time, look at the crazy extremist Netanyahu administration and some of the atrocities that they're doing.
Well, here's the post from David Atherton here, Blake, on this topic. Agree or disagree? Did I double click it? No, I did not. Sorry, I thought I double clicked it. Okay. Agree or disagree that the U.S. and Canada should accept the Palestinian terrorists that Netanyahu sends us?
No, I think that's a terrible idea. And again, I've welcomed the Israelis to come over. They're a modern westernized culture that could assimilate into America, but I think that would be a lot tougher with the Palestinians. And even though I'm sympathetic to a lot of things over there, I don't think that's a good idea, and I don't think that's what they want either. But I mean, we might be past the point of a two-state solution at this point.
Oh yeah, that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. I know Alex Jones has discussed this. He did a whole video on this, kind of exposing this before David Atherton posted this. But just really quick, it says Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is looking for countries to absorb Palestinians in Gaza. At a meeting of his likened party on Monday, he said, "Our problem is countries that are ready to absorb them, and we're working on it." Countries that are ready to absorb them. Yeah, how about how about Egypt and Jordan? That's it. That's the list. Egypt and Jordan. The end. The end. Those two countries on the other side of Gaza, you're being pushed out of one side, go to Egypt, go to Jordan, call it a day, you're done. You can't play in the sandbox. You're done. It's over. Egypt and Jordan. Those are the countries. That's it. Find a way, humanitarian aid, blah, blah, blah. Find a way, work it out, go this way, exit stage left, Egypt, Jordan. Come to Canada, come to the United States. No, thanks. No, thanks.
I go Syria, Iran, Saudi Arabia. They should probably stick, in places that they would fit better into rather than European or Canadian, American. I could probably take some of them. There's supposedly there's a lot of good people that are there. I mean, obviously they have to be vetted, so we're not taking in terrorists. But it's not our problem.
We haven't been able to prove that we can vet anybody. So based on the fact that we will not vet anyone, I'm out. For these reasons, I'm out. We can't vet anyone. No thanks. Nope. We can't even vet the people at our southern border. No thanks. I'm out.
Israelis welcome, except for Netanyahu, who belongs at the Hague, should be investigated and possibly hanged.
All right, next topic.
Only if they find the evidence, but I think there's a lot of it. They just got to look.
All right. Well, and anyway, okay. Agree or disagree that we should flatten the Gaza Strip like Auschwitz concentration camp?
I am going to, of course, disagree. I think this is pretty horrific. What is this? It was the head of an Israeli town. Let me pull this one up here. Who said that? Head of Israeli town suggests flattening Gaza Strip like Auschwitz concentration camp. Really putting the Nazi in the Ashkenazi. David Azulai, council head for the town of Metula, wants to send all Gazans to refugee camps in Lebanon to empty and flatten the entire Gaza Strip so it becomes an empty museum like Auschwitz, a complex of concentration and extermination camps operated by Nazi Germany and occupied Poland during World War II and the Holocaust. So interesting, but... no, I think that's a little too much. I'm going to draw the line there and say that's probably not a good idea.
All right. Second part of this, Blake. is it okay? It's okay to bomb Gaza hospitals because they're Hamas headquarters.
I'm going to disagree with that too. I think there's probably absolutely been some hospitals that have been used as terrorist bases because they know that they're not going to be attacked. But at the same time, they also blow up hospitals that are just hospitals. And then they try to say, oh, well, it was Hamas headquarters and they were storing stuff there. Like some of those staged photo ops looked like ridiculous. Like, oh, oops, we blew up a hospital, but hey, here's 5 rifles and a few grenades or something. Like, how do we know that was actually there? And it wasn't even much to be convincing that it was actually supplies or a weapons depot or anything like that. So this is kind of a both sides thing to me again, but it's interesting. There's a Federalist. The Federalist is 100% pro-Israel. Says silence in the face of the Hamas hospital atrocities will ensure that more civilians die. So to me, this was kind of a spinning this. Like it's just every hospital seems to be some sort of a military base, and I don't think that's true. And I think we've got to recognize that there are war crimes. There have been good and bad places, but there's some really horrific things happening, and there's a lot of innocent people that are getting just wiped out in droves in Gaza, and it's disgusting, and it needs to stop. And yeah, I don't know. War is awful, and I just if they're gonna have it, go after the enemy combatants, but they have to do a better job of minimizing civilian casualties, and I don't think they're showing much restraint on that. And every time they make an oopsie, they're out like the Catholic women that were killed, and saying that they were spotting for Hamas. Were they? No, even the Pope had to chime in and say this was too much. So there are some things. There has to be some accountability on the Israeli side as well.
There we have it.
For them to admit that, that they can just say, "Hey, it was an accident. Sorry, our bad." But don't try to twist everything as the other side's fault, because it's becoming transparent. And I think they're losing credibility. But anyway. I think that's about all I have, and I think I've got to go.
Heck yeah, we got you out, so you're not rushing quite as quickly. So follow Blake on X. He's at TV's Blake Walley, and follow him at thenextlevelnews.com. Thank you, Blake.
Yes, thank you, Brian. Yeah, you should try running that Alex Jones clip. I haven't watched it yet, but it's an almost an 8-minute clip. But
maybe on the next show, if we, I haven't had a chance to watch more than 30 seconds of it, but maybe on the next show because I'm out of time as well. But
okay, well, thanks everybody. It's been delightful, and perhaps we'll see you next year, huh? All right.
Yeah. See you next year.
All right.
Absolutely.
Take care, everybody. Great to have you guys back after a little long Christmas break, and we'll see what happens in the new year. All right. Until then, take care.
All right. See you, Blake.
All right. See you later.
And make sure you go to Truth Social and then find the New American Media and follow us. Like the show wherever you're at, or hit the star button or the hearts button or whatever you got in front of you. On Spotify, the Agree to Disagree Show, please subscribe. Rumble, the New American Media, find us and follow us. On Telegram, TNAM and TNAM Chat, follow us and like us. On X, we're at American_Media_. On Facebook, our page is the New American Media. That's back up. And our group is TNAMS, TNAM''S, the Agree to Disagree Show. On Instagram, we're the New American Media. On YouTube, youtube.com/the New American Media. Follow us, subscribe, like, do all the things, share it with your friends. We appreciate you. We love you. And we will talk to you again